Alright, disclaimer. I am no way, shape, or form a welding expert. I am just a simply average Joe who has welded before, has owned welders, and yeah, this is a review of a $100 welder, not a $3,000 welder. This is a review of a Flux core welder, not a MIG gas welder. So yeah, don't get too angry. Alright, I'm about to open my 90 amp flux wire welder from Chicago Electric, and so I'm going to do unboxing and then I'm going to test and review it. When you open up the top, you see a how to weld. Shows you what good welds look like. That's pretty neat. And basic instructions. There is darkening glass here, so I'm guessing they're going to give me some type of a welding shield. Not really a helmet, probably just a shield. You can get your little chipping hammer, wire brush. I'm assuming these handles go on the machine. I'll figure that out in a second. There's your welding tip. And here's a box with, I believe, wire feed weld. Yeah, it's heavy, so I believe that's 0.030 wire feed weld. So we'll remove this. There we go, there's the actual welder. Oh yeah. Here's your crappy little shield they give you for yeah, welding, which I got my own welding helmet, I don't need this, but yeah. Okay, I got it plugged into a heavy-duty extension cord. It's on a 20 amp breaker, and there's nothing else on that breaker but the welder. And yeah, and so we're about to spool the wire through. There's a little latch button you got to push in very hard. There you go. And so for spooling the wire, what it says to do is basically to hand thread it and until you get through right about here. And now we're going to turn the machine on and push the trigger, which just controls your wire, and once it comes out, put the tip on and everything like that. But we're going to do that now very carefully, make sure there's no kinks. So on. You see the little gear moving. Pulling the wire through. Probably should turn up my wire speed. There we go. Now it says you need to do a test of, yep, if it bends, that's good. There's enough force of it to bend without the wheel slipping, it's good. So I gotta put the tip on it, and we'll be ready to start testing it. Sounds like it has an exhaust fan, which is good because these little welders will overheat. Only has a duty cycle of 20% at max settings. That doesn't mean at, you know, minimum settings you can't get 40%. Alright, I've been wire feed welding for maybe 2 minutes now, and that was my first one right there. As you can see, it was pretty bad. That one's a little bit better. One thing I think I've noticed is I need to get the wire speed down perfectly. Those welds seem to be pretty good. I've hit them with a hammer and they haven't cracked really bad. So maybe you can see penetration. Yeah, I got good penetration. So that's good. Wire feeding welding is totally different than stick welding. Stick welding, I'm always trying to control the pool of weld, and this I'm just trying to keep the wire from pushing me away from the thing I'm welding. So next we'll do a strength test. Even though I'm not an expert at it yet, we'll give it a try. Alright, here's a strength test. I've cut a piece of pipe, as you can see, and we're going to weld it back together, and then we're going to see what it takes to break it where I'm welded it. So first thing, this is galvanized pipe, and you're really not supposed to weld galvanized pipe unless you're in a well ventilated area, which I am. And also I would say wear a mask if you're welding a lot of galvanized pipe. But anyway, we're gonna turn it on. Let's show how thick this is. It's not really that thick. It's pretty thin. It's thinner than that angle iron right there. So yeah, I don't think it'll burn through it. I'm on a high setting. I'm gonna tack it first a couple times, and then I'll see about welding it. All right. Yeah. some ugly bubblegum welds there. And yeah, this is 5 minutes later. First time ever using a wire feed welder. But you know, it looks pretty strong. We're gonna hit it a couple times to get some blocks and shit. Welds not breaking. Good. I actually messed up the end of my pipe. Let's stick it in some block. Let's just stand on it. Oops, I broke the block. Oh, there's termites in there. Wake up, you termite bastards. For the thin metal test, I have 2 tin cans. Why? Because I don't have any real thin metal, and I was thinking tin cans are pretty thin. So I've never done this before. I don't even know if this will work at all. I don't even know if this is weldable metal. We'll find out though. And I got it turned to minimum, and I got it turned to like less than 1 wire speed. So we're gonna probably tack it first, and then we'll see what happens. Surprisingly, you can weld thin cans together. You just gotta have the wire speed very low and on minimum, and I would suggest tacking it and then filling them in slowly, letting it cool, because once the machine or my tip or whatever got really hot, it started just burning holes through the cans. So you can weld cans in thin metal if you're just real careful and tack weld a lot. Just for fun, we're going to put them on maximum and we're going to see what the hell happens to these cans. I'm going to say they're going to burn up. Wow, you can pretty much cut your name in it. There's no greater test for this little welder than my skid steer, which constantly breaks welds. And yeah, so we're gonna re-weld some of these cracked welds. They're not gonna look pretty probably, but hopefully they'll be structural. My latest break was right here. So you can see this whole piece moves, and yeah, that's not good. So I'm gonna try to weld that back in place, and also, you know, maybe touch up some other welds here and see if that helps. I've actually reached my thermal overload. The lights lit up, and so I got a little bit of welding done. Yeah, mostly these are crappy welds trying to fill a gap. There's a 1/2 inch gap there, and of course I got the piece that broke off welded back on. So I'll let it cool down. I think actually I need to leave it running, but just not pull the trigger. When you pull the trigger, it becomes hot because there's a fan running. If I just leave it running, it's going to cool itself. You can hear the fan. So I'm going to let it do that for a little bit, maybe 30 minutes, and then I'm going to come back out here and weld some more. Look at this string of wire got stuck. There you go. Final synopsis: good welder. Just tested it with the skid steer. Skid steer did not break welds. Did a little digging with it. For $100, it's a great buy. I would say get it. It's probably a very good lead into wire feed welding. Good training for the bigger, more expensive stuff. Yeah, it can weld thin metal, as those tin cans over there can show. It can also burn through them if you're not careful. It's really good for, you know, angle iron and stuff like that, I would say. But overall, I would say it's a good welder. Guys should buy it. Probably be good for body work.